you. And you could be like, yes, okay, now I get that part. For those that it's your first day, I'm going to hand this to you. This was a getting to know you that we did, just to kind of get an understanding of what you would like to learn. So hopefully if it's not already in the curriculum, we can incorporate it into what we're doing. What are your interests? Oh, okay. So you don't have to do that right now, but if you want to do that by the end of class or stick around for a couple minutes, we'd like to make sure that we have everybody's input on that. Yesterday was our introduction day, so we just kind of went over what we're going to be doing for this class. The stuff that we will be learning about, we will be going over the alphabet sounds, which seems to be one of the biggest stressors, is understanding what these sounds are so we can tune our ears to being able to hear them and how to make those sounds. So we'll be picking through the letters in small groups and we'll be going through the alphabet. We're going to go over some words and grammatically understanding verbs, nouns, adjectives, and possessives. We're going to be learning some phrases, some greetings. We'll be doing a traditional story. For the college level format, it is working on sentence formulas, so understanding the grammar. That's the difference between taking like a conversational class, which we do offer. We do offer family night classes. But the college course is one that, you want to just flip it over and do, thank you. The college class is that college level of understanding the grammar, which I think is a good base knowledge for you to have. Because if you really want to utilize the language, it's good to understand the grammar. And once you get your base, then you can really understand the conversational grammar. So the last thing that we'll touch on is place names. So we went over that yesterday. I did share my information. Let me put that up real quick. I did a very long-winded intro, but I think you guys know me. While I'm writing this, I'll just go over that I've been learning, teaching, and speaking the northern dialect of Lushootseed for 24 years. I just celebrated 24 years in the department. I have taught all ages except for middle school. I didn't have the opportunity to actually teach within the middle school, but for a couple years we did have instruction at Totem Middle School. Our department tends to start with the Early Learning Academy. Sorry, I can't do two things at once. And then always encourage you to visit our website. Okay. So our department tends to start our instruction, our entry-level teaching assistant instruction at the Early Learning Academy. We've had a partnership with Montessori and ECAP since this program was established in the early 90s. So that's where a lot of us got our base training of utilizing the language, is with the kids at the preschool level. And then we've worked our way up off and on into the elementary schools. This year we will have instruction at Quilceda Tulalip for kindergarten, one kindergarten class, a first, second grade split, a third grade class, and then we're trying to work with the fifth graders. So that's making more of a presence at Quill than we've had in a long time. And then we're going to establish some instruction at Marshall, since we have a large number of tribal youth when they leave Montessori and ECAP that are going into those two schools. So we're gonna establish some instruction there. And then we also have Michelle Miles teaching at Marysville Pilchuck. and at Heritage High School. So we have a majority of our instruction takes place next door at the Betty J. Taylor Early Learning Academy. We're in every single classroom there. One of the biggest things that we've done recently was, well, semi-recently over the past couple of years, was adding in the birth to 3 classes. For me, my thought of teaching a birth to 3 is that is so advanced because you are teaching non-responders. You're teaching a group of infants and waddlers and toddlers. You're trying to encourage them to speak without getting a response from them.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Actually, that's been very successful, and I just want to say that for my baby, she's only 2. She responds better in Lushootseed than she does in English. Because if you guys have been successful in it. And to add to that, my son Jackson, who is 4.5, going to be 5, he's not speaking. He's slowly starting to speak English, but he responds better in Lushootseed than he does English. So it's been very successful. Very proud of it. Very so now I'm like, my kids are advancing more than I am as a parent. I'm like, okay, I need to step up my game, because my husband can speak fully in Lushootseed better than I can. So really, he's teaching us. My kids are teaching me. So it's just a all-around thing. So it's been very rewarding to see that you guys are in the birth to 3 because my baby, who's only 2, responds and speaks it too. She goes, "Daughter too," So thank you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's where I do have a lot of gratitude for the work that that Melissa, Thomas, Jasmine, Kylie, Oceana, and then before that it was Mikey and Selam. But the base of the work that they started with the birth to 3 has really flourished, and it's really, really beautiful. So we try to make sure that we have access to learning the language from birth and on. We do have community classes, and hopefully you guys will be able to bring your families to that once we get that scheduled out, probably in October or November, which is coming up way too quick. Okay, so that's kind of some of the things that we went over yesterday, is just an introduction to what we'll be going over through 101. Today, and then we did the form. Today you guys have some whiteboards in front of you, so we're gonna do some work on the whiteboards. But before we do that, this is where we're gonna get our introduction to the alphabet. Let's see what this one is. Yep. So to start out with the alphabet, we're just going to dive into it and try not to confuse ourselves with the vowels. The letter A makes an ah sound. Ah. Ah. Does anybody know what that letter is? It's a schwa. The schwa makes an sound. So we have The letter I can make 2 different sounds. It can make an E, or an A. Ah, E, A. So we'll continue to practice this as a part of our sound charts to make sure that we really get these vowels down. The U also makes 2 sounds. O, oo, oo. Ah, E, A, O, oo. So those are our vowels. We also have this funny little character over here. Anybody know what this is? Glottal stop. It's like a question mark without the dot. So when you practice writing that, it's just like writing the question mark, just don't need the dot. This letter either makes an abrupt stop if it's at the end of the word, but they say that naturally it's in front of each one of our vowels. So this glottal stop, it's closing off your throat before you speak. So it's there even though it's not always written. So in front of vowels, that's just naturally how a lot of the vowels are spoken if the word begins with a vowel. And then we'll go through a sound chart where we practice what it sounds like when we put the glottal stop after. If it's at the end or in middle of a word, it's a pause or an abrupt stop. Okay, let's do this again. Ah, E, A, O, oo. All right. So when we look at these words, look at these vowels, if we were to eliminate the vowel, if we wanted to write cut using a Lushootseed vowel, how would we write that? How would we write cut? The schwa. Cut. How would we write what? What? Huh? Same? Okay, what about mother? Mother. Using the schwa again?
I was going to do the U one.
The U?
Yeah.
Where at?
Is it the O or the U? I mean the O.
Mother.
Yeah. I was just looking
Mother.
I would use the schwa and
Mother.
then the I.
Mother.
Or, sorry, the schwa and then the
Ear. What about lover? Lover. Notice this has a lot of that schwa. The hard part of this is we don't have V's and we don't have R's, so combining them together with a schwa really throws it off. So that's where we talk about like eliminating the influence of English. And also one of the things that we went over yesterday was talking about how our language was an oral language. So this language was spoken since time immemorial without being written down. The writing portion came in after Tom Hess and Vi Hilbert and others sat down and thought to themselves, how can we put this language in a written structure? And that's when the International Phonetic Alphabet was adopted. And they started utilizing those vowels and all of the characters that we will go through. So we have to remind ourselves of that as well, that we're still growing through trying to write down an oral language. And it's not always going to be perfect. Like you can't always get the right sounds written down together. But we do, this is the time to start when we're using Lushootseed, letting go of the English vowels. Okay, one more time. Let's go through the vowels. E, A, O, oo. Okay. Let's try these ones. And I want to give you guys a chance. Go ahead and write on your boards how you think we would utilize the vowels. So we want to write pay, we want to write see, we want to write great, we want to write feet. Putting those together in English sounds really bad. What vowel are we getting called to for this one?
Is it the I?
A. A means yes, just so you know. I'm not saying we're writing the A. Pay, because it's the E or the A. C. Great. Feet. Pronouncing English words in Lushootseed while also creating English words from how we translated it. Which reinforces some people's responses to how intimidating this language can be, trying to get these sounds down. So the I makes the E or the A. E or the A. Okay, everybody good on this? Let's go through the vowels again. E, A, O, U. Okay, let's give these ones a try. We want to spell board, new, floor, loot. Sorry, I got you guys breaking your neck in the front. It's on rollers. I could roll it around the circle. New. I'm going to pop over here when I say these words. Board, board, new, floor, loot. So what letter are we drawn towards? The U. I would even debate on how we would spell that. Board. No. Floor. Loot. Let's move on from this. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to continue with this sound chart style of having everybody practicing together. And the more we do these sound charts, the more we are going to train our mouths to say it and train our ears to hear it. So we're going to start out with the top chart. I didn't count to make sure that I have. I think I do. I think we're doing good.
Thank you.
Yay! We've got enough. All right, so starting with that top line, we have E, A, O, oo. The next line, ooh, A. I'm going with you guys. O, E. Yay, yay. Next line, E, O, oo, A, last one, E, O, A, oo, Now that could sound different every single time that we do that because the I makes two different sounds, the O makes two different sounds. So just going through that, as long as you make time to practice going through these and you're connecting the right sounds to the right vowels, that's a great place to start. Notice how the glottal stop was at the front because naturally when you're making those sounds, you have a pause before you make that vowel sound. When we put the glottal stop after, now we're going to have an abrupt stop. So the first time we were able to go, we were able to kind of draw it out to get ourselves used to that sound. Now we're going to say, Now we're going to say, E, A, O, oo. Let's do that again. E, A, O, oo. One more time. E, A, O, oo. Now you guys without me. Hey, diet hot, diet hot. Okay, next line. O, E, I already forgot. Ooh. Eight. All right, next one. Eight. Ooh. O. Tracy's in charge. Last one. E. O. A. Oo. Top one again. At the very, very top. E. A. O. Oo. Top line of the second group. E. A. O. Oo. All right. All right. So everybody is familiar with a verb. What is a verb? Verb is the word. What is a verb? Action word. So we're looking at the action words. Our language is an action-based language. A majority of the time, we're talking about the action that's taking place before we say who is doing the action. We talk about the action before we say who the action is being done to. So the focus on actions is to help us understand that a majority of the time, that's what we're going to be talking about, which is different than in English. So let's use this example. What's the verb in this sentence?
Walks.
Walks. So here's our verb. In Lushootseed, we would start by saying the verb. A bush is what we would start out with. And then we name who's doing the action. So we start out by talking about what's happening before we say who is doing that action. So don't worry about the Lushootseed portion on this. I'll write them for example. Okay, let's talk about somebody else. What's our verb?
Walk.
Walk again. Here's our verb. So this is the other one. We're continuing to speak first in the Lushootseed about the action that's taking place, the verb that's happening. So we are a verb-based language. And I kind of want to, maybe this is what we'll do tomorrow. Tomorrow I would like us to go through, outside of this book, going through an introduction to Lushootseed, where it kind of gives you a better understanding of that. It helps us understand where the language had a lot of pressure. So what pressures from English speaking had an effect on the way that our ancestors started speaking. So we can go over that tomorrow. But the main part being that when we start learning some of our phrases, we're going to be talking about what we're doing, the action first, before we name ourselves. When we start talking about what we're observing, we're talking about the action that's being done before we talk about who's doing the action. All right. That's the other thing, mostly. We tend to get in the habit of saying, you're always going to see the verb first. And then you're like, oops, there's this one instance where it's not that way. So as we all continue to learn the language, because none of us are experts, we still continue to learn and still continue to discover things. For most of the time, you're going to see that verb first. All right. The next thing we're going to do, just to keep drilling verbs into our minds, is we're going to do the simple little verb worksheet. Okay. So we are going to start out in section 1. Sorry. Where you're going to find and circle the verbs in the sentence. I like getting my steps in. So from the first section, circle the verbs. Okay, I'm shopping. What is the verb? Shopping. We are playing. What is the verb? Playing. Bob used to run. This is no dig at Bob. I didn't write the worksheet. What's the verb? Run. Mary will hunt. What is the verb? Why don't you folks eat? You don't like to cook. Okay, in English, rewrite the sentences below so that the verbs are first. It's going to look silly in English. How would we say Mary walks? Walks Mary. John ate it? Ate it, John. You're jumping? Very Yoda style. Jumping you are. I was about to say it in the right. We like it?
Like it.
Like it, we. Below are some Lushootseed sentences. Circle what you think are the verbs. What you think are the verbs. Okay. So everybody was to circle what they thought are the verbs. Let's jump to number 4. What do you notice about the position of the verbs? Hopefully if everybody was on the same thing. If we drilled it correctly.
It's the first word.
It's the first word, A. It's the first word.
Oh, that's the answer to
The
four.
verbs are first in the sentence. Yep. So technically this would have been handed out as homework, but I'd rather have us go through things in class just so everybody makes sure that they have a good understanding of what we've gone over. For today, we've gone over those vowels. Let's do those again. A, E, A, O, U. We also went over the glottal stop, question mark without the dot. The glottal stop, which is an abrupt stop if it's at the end. It's a pause if it's in the middle, but it's naturally there when a word starts with a vowel. And then we went over talking about verbs and recognizing verbs in English sentences. Once we're recognizing them in the English sentences, when we start doing translations, it's going to be easier for us to recognize that they are switched. In English, we talk about who's doing the action before we talk about the action, whereas in Lushootseed, we're talking about the action first. And I would like to say that I think English is the one that's backwards. So we've been taught wrong this whole time. But those are the things that we went over today. Recognizing verbs and doing a slow start with the vowels. I would like to encourage you that if you do have time later on today or before class tomorrow, just find time to practice the sound chart. Once you start getting those vowels down, you'll be able to start recognizing the Lushootseed vowels versus the English vowels. So we got to let go of those English vowels when we're learning Lushootseed. Tomorrow we will start out by picking up another letter to learn. So starting out with the vowels, then we'll slowly start picking up letters and going through those. For those who it was your first day, please take a chance, if you haven't already, to fill out those, the handout, the getting to know you. And then I will snag those from you guys. For everybody else, thank you for your time. I will chill right here if anybody has any questions, or if you have anything coming up, heads up on anything. Reminder, you can always review the live stream if there's something that you didn't get, but I think everything was pretty smooth today, that I think everybody picked up our slow start to learning. Other than that, we're all done.
Do I get to keep reading?
Huh? Did you?